really disgusting, okay? So what's the connection? Well, in 1994, when Obama decided to run for the state senate of Illinois, he lived a few blocks away. Actually, they actually served in the same committee, too, together, a five-man committee. Five-man committee. I mean, if it was 10,000, I could, all right, maybe 10,000. 5 people in this committee, some local, some local improvement group, some liberal improvement group. Anyway, he got his first fundraising right in the living room of Bill and Bernadette. Shouldn't that be enough to tell you this guy may be dangerous? Is not fit to be a president of the United States or president of any other country? But no, for some reason, not enough. Now, you remember this? When he got elected. Okay, the stimulus bill plan. Well, we just had a guy, a former president, that lost a lot of votes because of the first stimulus bill, right? We call it corporate socialism. It's unconstitutional. Bottom line. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're on the receiving end of it. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. So, less than a year later, another one. Obama's bailouts mainly went to towns, municipalities and government, building roads or what have you. Some of them to build windmills, windmill blades, like Solyndra, which is now bankrupt, the great green jobs. I'll talk to you about the green SAR in a few minutes here. So, and it was the largest expenditure in the nation's history at that time. And they need more and more and more. Well, here's something, a little bit of flash from the past. John Maynard Keynes, are you familiar with him? Referred as Candy Cane because of his proclivities. He liked young boys, but that's something you don't hear much about. John Maynard Keynes was an advisor to Lenin and later an advisor to Franklin Roosevelt. And he said something. In 1990, he wrote a book. It was called The Economic Consequences of the Peace. And he said, governments, by a process called inflation, can quietly and unobtrusively confiscate a vast amount of a citizen's wealth. So when you get your tax increase, you think, wow, the taxes went up. Inflation is another process. Most people think inflation has something to do with greedy landlords or unions that want too much money. Inflation is something when you simply print more money and there's more paper dollars in the economy. You say, well, who goes shopping? Who does the grocery shopping? I do a lot of grocery shopping in our house, what, 25% maybe in the last year or so, maybe more, as a result of all the stimulus. Yeah, it's really stimulating, all right. So anyway, yeah, the 1919 book, Economic Consequences of Peace. Do you think Obama knows what he's doing?
Yes. Yep.
I think he knows exactly what he's doing. In fact, somebody asked me when he appointed one of the people he had nominated, well, what do you think of his most recent nominee? I said, like, I think of all of them. They are the least qualified for that job. That's why they have it. They will do the most amount of damage to our nation. That's why they're there. Senator Hillary Clinton, now a Secretary of State, she's the last person I would want as Secretary of State. You wouldn't have her babysitting your children. If she lived in your neighborhood, you'd probably want to move out. But no, she's Secretary of State. She's a committed internationalist. She loves the idea of world government and gun control, international arms control. Okay, so how about the National Service? April 21st, 2009. He signed the Serve America First Act, right? Which means, yeah, so you see, there are other nations have this precedent, okay? The brown shirts in Hitler's Germany. By the way, the word Nazi stands for National Socialism. And there's a personality cult. I'm not saying that Obama's a Nazi, but he has that same collectivist mindset that you exist to serve the state or him. Okay? We have something, Mussolini in the 30s, in his black shirts, National Service. We had something in the 30s, the National Recovery Act. Gerard Swope and the New Deal programs. They work WPA. You might see some of the bridges, a little plaque. This was built in the 30s. Make work projects or what have you. Chairman Mao and his Red Guards. Yes, collectivists love that. They love this type of big ceremonies. And we've got some clips which, if I have time, I'll show you on the subject here. How about an energy independence plan? That's the last thing that he wants, independence. A couple of years ago, they passed this, they signed into law this independence plan that banned the incandescent light bulb, making us dependent on light bulbs made in communist China that are dangerous. Okay? I think you discussed that. No, I didn't, because I had to abbreviate it, right? You only gave me about 25 minutes that time. So, Obama is supposed to be, you need to have resources to get yourself out of a recession and create jobs. And the bills they're passing are locking up land at all levels, by the way, local, county level, state level, federal level. And back last summer, he issued Executive Order 13575 to implement Agenda 21 in the rural communities. In other words, to destroy what's left of the small farmers. Get them off the farms, get them into the urban areas, right? Gradually, but that's the rural communities. His EPA said that CO2s are a pollutant. See, that's how crazy their science is so bad, when in fact CO2s are really called the poor man's fertilizer. They had a couple of one of the scientists I met, it was a father and son team. They had an enhanced CO2 environment, like 50, 100 times the amount of CO2. They showed these tomato plants that were like trees, right? I mean, it's amazing. But no, that's a pollutant. That's dangerous. We have to cap and trade. Thankfully, it was defeated this time around. By the way, who was a benefactor of cap and trade? Who's going to sell these little certificates, right? Goldman Sachs, right? Goldman Sachs. Al Gore had a little connect. Goldman Sachs, right? Another investment firm, too. By the way, I was doing a little research on the Nature Conservancy. The man who leads the Nature Conservancy just happened to be from Goldman Sachs. Surprise, surprise. Okay? Yeah, global warming is causing 300,000 deaths. You see, all the misinformation about global warming that Obama is totally committed to. And one of his chairmen of the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, very much against nuclear energy or anything else that other than windmills and solar panels that will really, that will get us. There's more gas. You know, my last meeting here was in December. Dave and I went out to really gas-filled Pennsylvania. And they're actually drilling for gas, but in New York it's totally locked up. I have a friend of mine is sitting on 100 acres and about 15 stories of natural gas that can be drilled with almost don't even come on the land, but it's locked up. So we can become energy independent. But these folks, Obama and his administration, that's the last thing they want. They want us to reduce our energy consumption. That's what they mean by independence. They don't mean that you're going to be able to provide all your energy for yourself. Now he did, for a short time, he was going to allow some leases on the ocean, right? And as soon as that spill in Louisiana, forget it, that was done away with, right? So I did read today, but there was someone had issued a permit to build another nuclear power plant, the first one since 1978. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Most of Europe, half of Europe, 75% of France is nuclear energy. It's clean and it's safe. And that's a socialist country. But they do it, but here we can't do it. See? All right, New World Order. Are we familiar with that term? You hear that term, we know that Republicans and Democrats have both said it. It always meant to be world government. The United States would be just sort of like a very insignificant part of this one world system. Obama is committed to that. He's actually, you can get video clips of him making comments about this world government. A new world order is emerging, says British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, the London G20 summit, which was a few years ago here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, there was, we had some members that drove around. I said, don't get arrested if you stay one place too long. But they had some pickup trucks with big banners going around. I forget exactly what they said, but they got a lot of attention when they did that. The old system of international economic cooperation is over. The new system, as of today, has begun. The G20 would become the premier economic organization for dealing with economic management around the world. British Prime Minister, who by the way is a socialist, surprise. And this is from the Bloomberg Press. The G20 also agreed to an allocation of $250 billion in special drawing rights, the artificial currency that the IMF uses to settle accounts among its member nations. In other words, the sucker U.S. taxpayer. You know, the Fed is now bailing out Europe. We're bailing out Europe. Remember how strong the euro was a few years ago? It's going to really harm us. And now they're going belly up, right? And that's what they want. That's coming here.